Welcome to This Oughta Be Good. This is episode 10. I'm DJ Mordecai, and we got my special guest, Fan Ran, in the building. What's
Oh
going on,
man,
Fan Ran? How you
I'm
doing?
good. How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? You all good?
I can't complain. Yes, we alive and we surviving, right?
Right on. So let me get into it. What inspired you to start making music and become a producer?
Um, uh, I'd say like first time I probably heard the first time I came in contact even with hip hop was like 7 or 8 years old, and I was going to this school in Petersburg called St. Joseph's. It's like a Catholic school. And it's back when my parents were still together, so we was all still living in my house down there. And every Friday they would walk you to church. You'd have to go to church as service as part of the school, like as part of the school curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd walk us all the way like a block or two down to the church, and we'd go to the service. And one day they took us a different way. I don't know if it was a detour on the street or something. This was 38 years ago, so you got to bear with me.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do remember we went by Willie's, which was over on, I believe it was on Washington. Maybe it was on With, but they're both parallel if you've been down there.
Mm-hmm.
So either wherever it was, we went by it, and I heard it was on the way back from the church after the service. They used to have a loudspeaker attached to like the building that Willie's was in, and they were playing Soul to Soul, Back to Life. Hitting, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
hitting, man,
Mm-hmm.
like hitting like that belly scene hitting,
Mm-hmm.
and for me anyway. And I remember like getting yelled at to get back in line to walk because I stopped and I just stood there like and looked in the store, and that was it, man. I was hooked, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the time of my life from 6 to like probably 14 or 15, I was trying to figure out how they did that.
Mm-hmm.
The rap part, of course, with the production as well. And I was like, man, so you work your little summer gig during high school or whatever you got going on, and you try to save. And we all probably started out with like that bullshit Gemini gear, that they sold in the back of the stores.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 pack for 500, or maybe this was pre Craigslist, pre anything like that. Maybe you got into like the actual Richmond Times to stash in the trades and try to like meet some shady cat in Chesterfield, or you know what I mean? Like you was just out
Mm-hmm.
there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you figured out. I remember that Gemini mixer I had. It had like 4 buttons that you could loop on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would like basically do it pause tape style because I had stolen my sister's karaoke machine like when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew how to make pause tapes. So I was like, oh, I can do that with this because it would let you loop like kind of like the old SPs, about 2 seconds on each button.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hit the drum, I'd loop a drum break from one record, or what, I don't even know if it was records back. I was probably stealing my dad's Willie Nelson tapes at that point, trying to like
Mm-hmm.
look for shit, going in my mom's. Like I even had the 8-track player hooked up to it. My mom let me take the 8-track player into the bedroom, hooked it. I was going crazy, like just
Mm-hmm.
'cause, you didn't have much.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'd put one on one pad, one on the other, maybe a melody on another one, and just try to hit them all at the same time and just manually loop them, and then
Mm-hmm.
record that onto still was rocking the karaoke machine at that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where it started. Then moved to then when I right around the time that me and you started hanging out, I started really getting gear, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
not being like over, like I didn't want to be, I wanted to get good first, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really what I tell a lot of young guys is like, yo, get good first before you start putting out too many records.
Mm-hmm.
Like get good, like go DJ or go work on your craft production wise in silence. Maybe tell a couple homies.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get really good real quick, right? But then some people, like me, for instance, needed years and years to learn how to really do and perfect what I was even trying to set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think that's about when it started, when me and you started hanging out. Ash was back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
Antagonist, we can go down the list of who was back then. Crawford, Beneficial,
Mm-hmm.
everybody that was like, we are all trying to do our thing. We were kind of a class that came in.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, like 99 probably is when I really started to like even learn how to operate sequencers on samplers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Antagonist. I think he was one of the first ones I saw freestyle at VCU, just like at a house party.
Nasty,
Just
bro.
killing it.
Still that dude
Right.
to this day.
What
Yeah,
year do you think it was you heard like Soul to Soul outside of Willie's? Like we talked about Willie's last episode with B Rice
probably
and
like 88 or 89. You
mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah, one of the
somewhere in there where it was, the record was still fairly hot. I mean, that's like one of those records back then that would come out and it'd be hot for 3 years. You know
right.
what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that's probably when it was. Like, I want to say it was winter too. I remember it being like, I don't know. It was just, you don't remember what it looked like, but you remember what it felt like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That type situation.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
connect with like Willie's folks if there's anybody in that lineage, to hear kind of
Like,
their story.
oh man, that raised me, man. In high school, like there was one near my mom's house, about 7 minutes from like driving time from my mom's house on Oakland Boulevard. I used to go over there almost daily, bro, and just
Mm-hmm.
dig through and they would let me do it because I would buy shit like occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that store, that in Record Town and in South Park, like that was my introduction to at least like going to buy physicals. And then Willie's kind of introduced me to wax, where I was like, oh man, I had a 12-inch, single and had the acapella and all the stuff we get into.
Mm-hmm.
And then so yeah, that's what got me into like, oh, I guess I was digging and I didn't even really know it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I was digging for like CD singles because they had the acapella or instrumental. It was like
Yeah,
you couldn't get that version on the album or the CD.
right.
Everybody else had the full length CD.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but you don't have
Yeah.
this version.
Yeah, man. I was like I said, I was running all kind of crazy things in my bedroom. Like I had an
Mm-hmm.
old realistic turntable, had like a Fisher Price 45 player that was left over from me and my
Mm-hmm.
sister's younger years. So I was just
Mm-hmm.
hooking up everything to see what I could do. What
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
How did you first get involved with the Gritty City?
Oh, well, that was actually the same way, like same person that got me involved in Divine Profitz. That's what Brian's always been an instrumental person for me and like steering me into good directions as far as like where I can, make the most of my creativity. So like he's just been a good friend like that. So, obviously he got me into Divine Profitz, but to answer your question, he's the one that told me to pull up to a show one night where they were performing early Gritty City. It was Johnny Siggs, Pandemic was still in the group. And well, he's still always Gritty City, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. He was still active. And my other homeboy, Chris Roxwell, Chris Topley, he was in there, and he was like, "Yo, check these guys out. Like they're raw, but like they actually all right." I was like, "All right, cool."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching, and I see the potential already with Johnny Siggs. I hear the wordplay. He's always been in pocket ever since I known him. Like he's just gotten better at it. But back then it was raw, but it was actually intriguing for me because I love when somebody is nice with like finding pockets and records, but they're raw at the same time. That's a rare combination. Usually
Mm-hmm.
people that find pockets are usually smoother people or like R&B borderline type cats. They could find different things to dance in like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a rare combo. So that intrigued me. So with me and Brian were talking while they were performing. He was like, "Yeah, man, they need beats. You should give them some beats." And I was just kind of getting confident. That's what I'm saying. It took me a long time. I was
Mm-hmm.
just trying to just starting to get confident of even letting people hear shit. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Cool." So I talked to Siggs that night. He's like, "Why don't you come through the house?" I think it was like a week later, play some beats. Maybe we could work on some. And he picked a few beats that day, and we actually recorded them into the Pro Tools. I hadn't even put them on Cubase yet,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how the whole thing started. I think like a year later, he was like, "Do you just want to be like a co-owner?" Because I was so involved in the process at that point, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I always wanted to have a hand in a record label just because I love the like logistics of how records get made.
Mm-hmm. So are you still in that role right
Oh
now?
yeah, No, same
Okay.
agreement, man. We're what we're going on 12 years now this year,
Mhm.
probably. So
Mhm.
like we've been solid, you know. He's just starting to like branch off into a new version in his career. He's starting to tour more, and he's with a touring company now, and they're getting it every weekend on the road and sometimes during the week. And I know he wants to, you know, go full time with that, and he can, man. He's got the blueprint down for how to move about the country and
Mhm.
actually do it.
Mhm.
Shout out Big Love, who I feel like, you know, was the first person I ever seen really do that full, you know, time DIY. And I think Jono's just kind of following Siggs. He just following in them footsteps. Like I see a lot of guys doing it now, and I'm happy he's one of them. So yeah,
Mhm.
we just keep reinventing them our approach, you know, and updating and but still try to be us, you know.
Mhm. This might be a hard question, but can you share some of like your favorite collaborations with Gritty City, like Profound 79, Johnny Siggs, and Defru?
Oh
Anyone
yeah,
that
well,
jumps out
yeah,
in particular? Or?
yeah. I mean, the first one I would say that was probably like, you know, I would consider super solid in the contributions was the Seep album. It was R.I.P. my man Seep. He had just came home from doing a bid and he was looking for beats, and Jono brought him through, and he was like, "Yo, it's my man Seep. We're gonna record his album in my house." He's looking for production. So he came through one night, got like 3 beats, and then just kept coming over. I think I probably did like 9 out of the 15 songs on that record.
Mhm.
And man, see, like it was just an unrealized talent. It wasn't enough time, bro, because the first like rhyme I ever heard from him was the intro of that song, and it just hit me so hard, just the realness of it. And it kind of reminded me of somebody that would have kind of satellited around Divine Profitz back in the day.
Mhm.
Like just that's what really kind of got me like in my feelings about it, because I was just imagining Wick being here, you know, and sometimes that like when I see artists that have a certain CJ the Prophet's like a newer artist that we've been doing stuff with, and he's got a similar it's a similar just approach. The energy, but the approach more like, man, Wick would have enjoyed the artistic flow of this person, you know,
Mhm.
and because
Mhm.
we all know Wick was a special person. So
Mhm.
yeah, Seat really that'd probably be the first one where I was like, that made me stick around for the long haul after we released that, and
Mhm.
it did well on Bandcamp. People liked it. It was really a turning point for the label into like make into going from making tapes that were just just trying to make tapes that are dope tapes into, oh no, we make albums now,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. And that's
Mhm.
what I've always wanted to do. I love mixtapes, don't get me wrong, bro. Most of the time when I ride around, my car still has cassette, you know, it still works. So I ride around to Ron G and Clue and you know all that stuff, bro. I love that shit. But albums to me are like, at least for me, what I want to pursue. So
Mhm.
I'd say that Seep album, and then the next one was probably the next album I did that was probably super. It was probably that Ben album, man, because we just did so much work on that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like Ben did especially. And you know Ben. Ben is a straight one of the most, if not the most creative person I've ever met, working wise. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
like face to face.
Mhm.
So yeah, that Ben FM and there's been so many though, man. Like it's hard. I mean, I think we've had 50 some albums since 2011 on the label.
Yep. Yep. We're
So
gonna get into some of them a
yeah,
little later, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
I
just
don't want to.
was
I don't
curious if
want
you had any
to.
favorites that stood out, like C1 that was good to
Yeah,
hear.
that C1 is in the top, man. It's in the top, man. It's if I had to go one, I think that'd be mine. It was just so raw and special. And he had passed shortly after it came out, so it was almost like catching that light. He'd only been in Richmond for about a year and a half at that
Mhm.
total.
Mhm.
So like it's like we caught lightning in a bottle with that,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And it was very much, you know, appropriate for who he was. That's how that went down.
Tell us about your journey from like Execute to Fan Ran. Like, what part did the
Yes,
name
sir.
change?
Oh man, execute that started in the dorms. You know,
Mhm.
when I would go kick it with just y'all down in the dorms and stuff, especially my man Aaron lived across the way from this dude Jimmy, and this other dude you might remember Mark.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mark and they were both, I think they were from Chesapeake, yeah. So like
Talented, talented too. Mhm.
yeah, super talented. He's still making music. Maker, that's who he goes by. I think it's him and another girl. You
Mhm.
know, don't quote me on it, but I think that's what it is. And I still seeing him putting out dope shit.
Mhm.
Um. Anyway, so he had this Roland. You remember the big board, like the VS 1880s
Mhm.
that people used to record like 24 tracks.
Mhm. Mhm.
He was using that to make beats too and recording it. You know, I
Mhm.
guess he was just editing the sound on there and sequencing it through that. So I just thought that was crazy to begin with. He
Mhm.
made me a beat and I rapped on it. And I don't know how what that night we came up with execute, but it just happened, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you know, and we were rocking with that for a while, you know.
Mhm.
And then I met Re Rock. And I was like, man, I want to like, you know, that one time I guess in my career where I was like, I want to try to like take a stab at making more of a commercial sound. You know, I feel like I need to grow to see what that even looks like. So I started going by Broadway
Yeah.
and more grandiose raps and shit. You know,
Mhm.
switch the
Mhm.
style up, all that. You know,
Mhm.
still
Mhm.
finding myself, man. I'm telling you, man. Like shout out to Nick F's late bloomers, right?
Mhm.
And so that I think I rolled with that for like a year or a year and a half, and then I kind of got low with music. I can't remember. I think I had moved out to the West End with a couple homies. I was really more on some kind of party shit, like just living life, man.
Mhm.
Sometimes you
Mhm.
got to just discovering who you are as a person. Sometimes
Yeah.
and see just living life. And then when I got back in the city. I got an apartment on Stewart Ave, and I remember I never forget this. This is actually when I first started hanging out with my wife for the first time. We started hanging out. I had
Mhm.
like a studio apartment. I had like one of those like inflatable mattresses. I had a dresser drawer with all my clothes in it and all my equipment on top of the dresser drawer.
Mm.
So like that's all I had in the apartment. Like I,
Mhm.
I literally just, was out all the time, and whenever I came home, I was either trying to make beats or sleeping. So it didn't
Right.
really matter to me. I was really, and I think that's really where I started to like figure out my not final approach to this, but like starting like, okay, this is what it feels like to have a routine and do music every day and actually start to try to be an artist for real. And right around that time, I started hanging out with Crawford again. And through, we would just see each other all the time at the bars and stuff. And he was like, man, one of our homies is moving to Brooklyn. This dude, Brett, he's going to become an engineer. So he's not going to be like active with the group right now. You want to step in? And I was like, I don't know, man. Let's see what it looks like. So he took me over there to make a song, Wick, with Wick, in this studio, in his home studio in Midlothian.
Mhm.
And I wasn't really thinking too much about it, man. Like I knew at that point I was seasoned enough to know how to make a song. Like, we made a dope little song. It never made the album, but it was a good like introduction into, hey, this is my updated whatever I'm doing. Prof's like, yo, I'm still that guy, blah blah blah. So we made a song. Wick, I guess Prof and Wick talked about it after I left, and he hit me the next day, bro, and he was like, "Yo, Wick fucks with you," and he would like, let's do this. Like, if you want to be a part of this. And
Mhm.
after that, where that went.
Yeah, that was that was some of my next questions about like forming Divine Profits or like
Yeah,
the transition. I guess I don't know if you could speak to that. I know some others might be more able to speak to like going from Lynchburg to Richmond. As far as that like impacting the groups like music and growth and everything.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because that they had definitely had some Richmond years before I was in there. Like, Know Your History, the 420 tape, and I think maybe the 420 tape is right when they all kind of like got here as a unit. Like,
Once you joined,
but
like how did like the dynamic like change or evolve like over the years?
I think so. I mean, it got it as far as the people that were rapping, it got tighter. Like the group, like there was a bunch of people rapping to begin with, uh, and I think there was 7 or 8 people rapping in the early days when they was putting tapes together and stuff because they've been around since like '94,
Mm-hmm.
like in some form of fashion. So they had
Mm-hmm.
already had 6, 7, 8 years before they started making noise up here. So when they got here, the actual rap group got tighter. Like I said, it got to a point where it was Wick, Beneficial, Chris Chronic, and Brett. And then when Brett left to go engineer, that's when I stepped in. So it remained 4 once I stepped in, and we just started cutting records, and it
That was
started getting more serious.
that was
It started,
Cosmos, right?
yeah, Cosmos. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And it started getting more serious. We was over there almost every, if not every night, every other night in there till, sometimes 5, 6 in the morning, just cut, working on song after song after song. And we probably got like a good 20, 30 songs that we liked over that 2-year period. And, back then, that's the way people recorded. It's not like now where guys record 5 in a day. I get it. Like, but let's be honest, a lot of them making minute, 20-second songs. So like, with no hook. And
Yeah.
these were 3-minute, 45-minute, just 5-second songs, hooks, bridges, all the stuff we all, felt like we had to do back then, right?
Yeah.
And
4-person group.
yeah. Let's remember here when we used to have 3 verses, all the rules, all the rules. So anyway, we got a few of those together. We whittled it down to what I think there was like maybe 12, 13, 14 on that first one. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And you did the art for it, and we pressed it up. And I was thinking about that record today because I knew we were going to talk about it. That might have been one of the first ones where the not I'm not gonna say it was the only one because I don't want people to jump on me about it, but like that might have been one of them ones, at least in that era, where kicked up the presentation of albums. You know what I mean? Because I'm this is not a knock on anybody because we all had these, but I remember a lot of what I call gas station CDs. You know what I mean? A lot of like nothing wrong with that. We all had. I had them too. We all did. But what I'm saying is like, for us to do that and see what it looked like and it get pressed and many appreciation to you for killing the art. Absolutely killed the art.
I think Brad D did the disc art too, I think. Shout out to Brad D.
Brad Bacon did it. Brad Bacon did it.
Oh, Brad Bacon was on that one.
Yeah. No, you good. But so yeah, like I really think that was one of those ones that and I've been fortunate enough to like be involved in a few of those kind of records where I could feel like, oh, this is changing the tide, at least locally, a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like it blew the world up, but what I'm saying is like, I'm proud to say that it was definitely like something that we could hang our hat on for real. You know what I mean? Like, I still think it's the best album I've ever been a part of. I don't think, and I got some other good ones that I would put up there, but that one is a little bit step down the road. You know what I mean?
It's rare, man. I mean, people are after it. They seek it out. It's going for some change now. I think we all wish we had a few boxes of them around.
Oh yeah, for sure. We didn't know what we had with that big Discogs order back in the day.
What was it like working with Shadrach? You've been calling him Wick. Some people might not know. That's what we're talking about. But like he basically created Divine Profitz. Are there any like memorable like stories or experiences you had?
Every time, and I'm not saying that just because he passed, man. Every time it was a blessing to be around Wick in that environment. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, it's a blessing to be around Wick anyway. He barely stepped out. He liked to be at the crib, chopping up, smoking, laughing, dapping, always dapping, but like, yeah, he would give you like 1,000 daps if he fucked with you like that, and he barely even opened his eyes if he didn't, you know what I mean? Like, you knew where you were at with Wick. That's how he was real like that. But I always call him a light, man. Bro was a light. Like just the fact, the influence he had on my production by not even showing me anything. just being around there. Like there have been many a nights where it was just me and him, where like it was a Tuesday night. Crawford might be working, you know, Chris was in Lynchburg at the time, going back and forth, and I might just go over there and hang out. We play records, and then he'll start making a beat. I'll pass out. It'd be like 4 in the morning. I'll wake up. It's like the craziest shit you ever heard. You know what I mean? That's how the riot, the actual riot, that's how the riot title track got the beat got made for it. I was over there, and he was just, I didn't even know what it was yet, and I woke up and I heard that shit, and I was like, "Yo, we gotta rap on this shit." He was like, "Already," and he already had recorded a verse to it that while I was asleep. You know what I mean? Because he could go. His hours was crazy, bro. But just being around him, man. Like I said, like just soaking it up, listening to how he sequenced things, listening to things he talk about on his downtime, you know, casually, and just make you want to like, you know, religion, politics, but not in a preachy way, more like a yo, peep this is ill, you know, like a lot of that, man. Just being in that place, man. All the records on the wall, all you know, the biblical books like the Quran, the Torah, like it was his personality on all 4 of them walls, and that shit was like it was like a heartbeat in there. You know what I mean? That shit was a frequency when you entered there. You know what I mean? Oh man, I miss that shit. Like I said, like I love producing, especially for newer artists that I haven't worked with yet. But I really like always be thinking about like, man, what if Wit would have had this, you know, got with this guy. You know what I mean? That because that's I'm gonna always think like that because that's what kind of effect he'll have on you. He'll have you even if you do something at a high level, he'll still have you wanting to live vicariously through what he do. You know what I mean? That's how real it was.
I remember he worked at Little Caesars and he would hook me up with like free pizzas. And then he told me like he was getting in trouble, or somebody told me he was getting in trouble for giving away free pizzas. And then he kept doing it anyways. I think he got fired.
Yeah, he needed that for his record habit. You know what I mean? Like,
so we're gonna get into your discography. I should say selected discography. We talked yesterday. You said before even Divine P, you were on a Re-Rock and DJ7 mixtape. Commercial free.
I've still been trying to track that down. I was hoping somebody uploaded it by now, but I'm gonna keep looking. You never know.
I reached out to them as well. It was a little last minute because I didn't think to kind of ask you that ahead of time, but I wish I had.
Man.
I know they're trying to dig one out, but so if you got one, you know, send it to Fan Ran. I would love to like, at least see the cover. So that was basically your first time like recording.
That was the first time recording in the studio. Well, no, second time actually. My first time was with my homeboy Jay in high school, but that was down in Petersburg, and it's weirdly like 2 doors down for him. My pop got his haircut down there, but this the first time I was actually laid a complete like verse, and it was used for something or just period was that time, like this spot when it used to be on the Grace. And I love that studio. I was in there for a few times for different reasons.
Shout out Docs One.
Docs One. Shout out to Docs One. He actually engineered it, and then he engineered I think every single session I had after that in there.
Did the thing in Petersburg ever get released?
No, because we never finished the song. We went there, and he was recording just like for an album. He just told me to come through, ask if I wanted to rap. I think I laid like half the verse. I was supposed to come back later, and it just never, it's one of them things.
All right, so as far as what I had, 2006, Divine Profitz, The Riot, talked about. I based the cover art off. I think it was Brand Nubian, one of Wick's favorite groups.
Yeah, you killed that guy, man. It's still dope.
So if you got that CD, you're holding on to some gold right there. If you don't got it, try and get a copy. Then 2009, The P.
Yeah. Go
ahead.
That was with my man Jeff had the label. I can't remember the name of the label that we partnered with.
Concise.
Yep. Man, I appreciate you. a long time ago. A
Yeah.
lot of many a long night in between, you know.
Hmm.
But nah, that was a joint venture with them, with Alphabetic Records, which was our label,
Hmm.
and that was fun too. That was I really enjoyed making that album, but it was a little bit more pressure on that album because we had made the Riot and we kind of knew what, and it went over well, so we kind of knew what we had to do this time, you know,
Hmm.
like so it made it a little bit more. We you know, you try to step it up when that happens. It's similar to the Dirty Rice. And I'm sure we'll get to that later, but it's similar to the Dirty Rice, where you make one and it sticks and everybody and people like it, and then you know you trying to outdo yourself on two. You know?
Hmm. 2013. This is, I think, when you first started
Yeah,
connecting with
rocking with Grid.
96 and Gritty City.
And yeah, that was C1. Me and C. That was actually us recording for my solo effort on Gritty Loose Valves. That was us recording the song Savior. We had just finished recording that joint. And that made the album, and I'm happy it did because I always me and Steve always loved working together, man. It's just like a brother, man. Like,
Hmm.
you know, it's one of them wild boys that you just got, you know, type of cat that lives in your heart just for the person he is.
Most of the people I've had on, I focus on, kind of one album at a time. But with you, you've got usually, at least a couple every year. So I'm kind of breaking it down by year.
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
2014, we got Harp Strings and Title
Yeah,
Belt. Feel
yeah.
free to, share anything or
Heartstrings
talk about
made
any of
that.
those. Hmm.
Heartstrings made that Loose Valves album too. Because we were doing back in the day where those two songs particularly that got released like that. We were doing this campaign called Rapper Monday. So like 52 weeks in a row we dropped a song.
Hmm.
So Heartstrings, knew it was gonna be for my album, but we needed to drop a song that week because nobody came through the studio to make anything new that week. So Sig was like, "Yo, you want to drop this?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we dropped that and ended up making the album. And Title Belt, me and Sigs actually made that beat together over here, and and that ended up being for Rapper Monday. We never put it on the album, but it was just a Lucy. But Heartstrings definitely that was probably one of my low key favorite songs on that album, just because it's weird. It's like a weird Temptation sample that nobody would ever think to use because it's not like them singing. It's like a weird intro on that they did on like not a move but something
Hmm.
of that ilk. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I like quirky weird shit like that. Like my favorite thing to do is put a hard rhyme on some quirky shit. Like
Hmm. They were coming up this 10-year anniversary, so you got to do like a deluxe edition with like the instrumental
that
and
was
acapella,
I don't want to like.
unreleased versions.
Oh yeah, no. Well, Loose Valves was supposed to get a cassette release a few years ago,
Hmm.
and then with Trash Fuck, but it just I think it just kind of slipped through the cracks on both of our ends.
Hmm.
But there's always the future. You know?
Hmm. 2015, Bob Bernhard.
Burn hard, yeah, man. That was my first attempt at an instrumental tape. I was fucking with a Sandra Bernhard record for some sampling dialogue of it, and it was just so much crazy shit on there. I was like, y'all should make a tape. And I
Hmm.
had obviously I had, we all as producers keep Bob James near and dear. So I
Hmm.
had like pretty much not, I won't say every Bob James record, but I'm getting close if I don't have them all at this point. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of them, There's
Hmm.
he's one of those artists where you don't quite know how many he got.
Hmm.
But so I just like anybody else, Bob James hella influential, as
Hmm.
a producer. So I just started, making some shit that I hadn't heard other people do with Bob James records, and I
Hmm.
put it out just on a whim. Made the art just made a little rudimentary art myself,
Hmm.
just to get it out there. Have something on Bandcamp.
Hmm.
And people still hit me up about that shit, man. They're like, "Yo, let's put that on the tape and everything." And you know what kind of stopped me from pushing it further for me was I started becoming aware of these producers that were way doper than me. I'm gonna be real with it, that had already done certain things with Bob James thematically in tapes,
Hmm.
and I was like, good. This is kind of like I'll treat this as like a practice session. this helped me like learn how to sequence instrumental tape. You know what I mean? I love that. I love that tape though.
Mm. So for this one, I gotta bring in Profound 79, surprise guest in the house.
What's
What's
up?
going on, bro?
What's up, bro?
My brother,
What's
my
up,
southern
everybody?
brother.
Yeah, what's up, my man?
Yeah, we got the Southern Brothers. Let's talk about Food Court Gods first. So 2015 was the first one that went over real well. You feel like, or enough to, or you had 3 volumes already ready to go, or how did that go?
Yeah, I think it went over more like surprisingly than we thought it would. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what the hell to expect when I dropped it. I think Ash felt the same way. You know, sometimes you just cast a line out there and you get a bite.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
we are. I mean, it's crazy to think that that whole kind of abandoned mall thing is kind of they've taken that to a whole nother level now. It's kind of crazy we was on that at that time period, but you actually ran. You came up with the Food Court Guys. That was you
yeah.
the vibe. You came up with the name, and then like I kind of came up with the aesthetic of it. I guess like what it would look like
Oh
with the
no.
covers. Because we're we all like VHS cats. We used to go to the VHS store. And Mom would let us cut loose, and we pick up covers. So me and my man was always talking about that. So
Yep.
like I think that's kind of like you can see that here the inspiration from that, of like the getting the VHS B movies, like it's just that whole like,
Yep.
that was the first one was just kind of like we were just just getting up. We had beats, and then they kind of became more direct as we kind of went through it. We got in volume 4's in the mix right now with the box set.
With the box set, cassette box set. Yep.
Yeah, so. They will finally get the tapes they deserve. It's going to be this 4, and then the 4th one is Regency Mall, which is not really abandoned technically, but
it's coming back. It's coming back.
Yeah, it's not the same, obviously. But yeah.
I thought it was dead. I thought it was dead in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to the polo section and Hex and Regency, legendary, best polo section ever.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would hands down agree. Remember they had when the Olympics, they did the polo did the Olympics. They had like the whole thing, the track suits, the shorts, like the whole. I was like, I can't do it that much. It's, I'm a polo guy, but that's a little much.
Yeah, you go full Carl Lewis with it.
We got Data Man's in on the check-in. Shout out Dr. Data.
Big Doc, my man.
So
I saw him the other night. At the producer lounge joint that Ash did.
Okay.
Yeah. Good chopping it up with my man.
Yep.
Profound. Like, what has Fan Rand's been like? His impact or influence been like for you?
Oh man. Yeah, we kind of like gave each other a little bit. Like I was more like a beat tape dude before we kind of linked up. Mm-hmm. And then like he was more of like a producer, so I think I got a lot of like becoming more like a well-rounded producer as far as for other artists and beyond just being like an instrumentalist.
Mm-hmm. Do you think like when you first met him, do you think like you would have envisioned like working or collaborating as much as like y'all do now, or?
Oh man, time will tell. It's kind of interesting because like if you think about it, us 3 on here, we have a lot of history with each other as well. So that's kind of crazy. All we need is Aaron in here, and then we could really have some stories, but that's maybe for another interview. But like, yeah, I mean, like it just happened to be, like we kind of like ran on you. We had the music video before. We were all kind of like rapping. It just kind of worked out, man. I think people that are solid and consistent, it's just going to happen, and eventually you're going to be together, stick together, or whatever.
Yeah, we all persevered, man. We all grew, and I'll second that with Pro, man. Like he really made me a better producer as well, man. Like
thanks,
just like the textures and everything that he chooses, and the way he makes everything just like it's just one sound. It's beautiful, man. And I've always told him that like his ear is incredible. So it made me go. You're welcome, bro. It made me go back in the crates even more and really refine It made me refine, because my shit I felt like was dope, but it was super raw. But I always wanted to be raw. But he's the one that really like influenced me just by being himself and doing what he do on the MPC, to go back in there and really like learn what goes with what in a proper way to get a better sound.
Mm-hmm. When I feel like Ren's always been a dope and really underrated MC. Do you feel that way too? Huh?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he's always joked about, us doing a tape like back in the day, like before, we obviously on the path we're on now. He's like, yo, I'm going to make a tape one day and like, you go do all the beats on it. And I always was like, I know it'll happen one day. You don't rush things. Like things that are going to happen are going to happen.
Right.
Mindset is another thing, especially in this game, stuff comes and goes and stuff. But I feel like if it's, gonna happen, it'll happen. Sometimes you gotta let things gonna be. But yeah, of course, man, of course.
So we touched on it before. Loose Bowels, 2016. Is this like your solo debut, basically?
Yeah, definitely. This was like, I always call it my homework assignment, because it's like Pro just said about me and him working together, man. It's something about me that I definitely think that my pen is like, it's tough. I got a tough pen, definitely. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna play the humble. I've been doing this long enough to where, it's like that. But like, I don't think I had the same motor as everybody else when it comes to making my own albums. My motor runs helping other people make their albums. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like me, I don't know if it's the ADHD or just the way I'm wired. Like I can't spend that much energy making a huge album for myself, man, because I'm always involved with other people's stuff. Pro knows, like we look out for each other. Yo, you need help with this, that, I got you. You need help with this, that, I got you. It's such a familial thing, and I've always been a part of something like that. Divine Profitz, Gritty City. Even before Divine Profitz, we were just talking about, we were a little like, you know what I mean? I've always been a part of something. Mm-hmm. So I've always got my enjoyment out of that. You know what I mean? But I love the rap. I love it. But I told BC this the other day. Shout out BC Music. I said, it's not special if you do it every day. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about like what I do is special. I'm saying it's not special to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like I went through that phase where I was rapping 16s every day and writing, and had to have your shit ready just in case somebody want to test. I remember all that. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, it never transferred to me to want to make solo albums all the time. Mm-hmm. It was more about like, how can I help a situation? Because I enjoyed the camaraderie of the shit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what keep me in this shit, bro, is the camaraderie, being able to talk to you, being able to talk to Ash every day. Mm-hmm. Like if I couldn't talk to Bro every day, if I can't talk to Pro every day, I might not be doing this shit, bro. Mm-hmm. Like dead ass, man. Like, cause life just is hard in general. In this music game, that shit requires therapeutic attention sometimes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You the psychiatrist and you the patient at the same time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to play both. And that's my man right there. That's one of my psychiatrists, him, Siggs, my wife. That's my little counsel that I go to when shit break down. I can be like, yo, this is fucked. You know what I'm saying? And they'll get me back on track.
Shit's real funky out here.
But,
American music, I want to make sure we touched on, since it's coming up on an anniversary in 2 days. Some of that camaraderie, Ben FM, Swerve 3.
Yeah, my God. It's one of my favorite albums I ever worked on. Ben really made me, he don't know it, but he really made me a producer, like even more than I was at that time, because of the sequencing. That's probably why I do records the way I do now, with all the little dialogue in it and everything and stitching. And, it's because of this record. I saw what was possible when we made this record. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's all Ben. Ben came up with everything for this. I made the beats and I made sure they were correct. And I think I got creative on it, but Ben was the one that steered the boat. He really helped me learn how to like actually produce a record, particularly when it was a concept like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell them about the records for that one though, man. That's crazy. That last one though, about your
Website.
record choices for that, like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
you should
man.
tell about that. That's why he only used certain records.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ben brought me over the
that's
records to
crazy.
sample, and me and him made it together. And I usually don't like doing that. I'll do it for family, like Ben's family. You know, obviously pro. We don't, that would never. That's different because we both make our own shit. But what I'm saying is, like, I'll do that for people that are family. Like, I want you to sample this record, but I generally don't do it because I like to make my own shit. But anyway, he was bringing me all the records to sample, bro. So I'm sitting there trying to make fire at any and everything that he bringing. And it worked, man. But a lot of it is him, man. Like, he's easy to work with. He's excited. Like, every time we get in the studio, he's ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And he really carried that project, and I'm proud of that joint. Like, that shit made me a better producer, bro.
I wanted to I'm glad you talked about him for a little bit because I want to make sure I brought him up because I really love this track that you featured on. If I Can't, I Can't. I played it on the streets a few times. Big up to Obliv, Ben FM, Nicholas F.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you were on that track too. I really like that
I am too. Yeah, Ben brought me that through for the hook, and same thing. He was like, "Yo, say this and say it." Like, I was like, "Well, lay it first," because sometimes the way Ben puts shit together is Ben, So I was like, "Yo, lay it," and I'm gonna lay it on top of it, pause and all that, and we made it work. Like, and I was happy just to be on that record, not only because like it's a great lineup, but every single one of them guys on there is my bro. You know what I mean? Like, real family situations. So
I don't want to skip over or gloss over Prayers Are Appreciated and Airtight, but I want to make sure we mentioned them. If there was anything you wanted to say, feel free.
Oh man, BC, I listened to Prayers Are Appreciated the other day on the way to pay a damn court fine in Norfolk. And I ran that joint on the way down there just to put me in a good mood, so I ain't kill them people when I got to the office. And that joint held up. That joint held up, bro, like good. It had a cohesive sound. That's another one of those ones I didn't realize how much of an impact it had on me. And DLG, what can I say? Pro just put a record out with PT, and Airtight was the first release that PT did on Gritty City, and that was a pleasure too, man. That was just a good time.
What crew was he in?
He was in Noisemakers back in the day.
All right.
Yeah, and
shout out PT.
Yeah, man, PT, man, still going strong.
All right, I gotta bring in one more person here. We got Noah O here to talk about Dirty Rice.
What up?
What's up, Noah?
What's up? What's up? Can y'all hear me good?
It's a little quiet.
We got you.
We can hear you a little bit. Thanks for coming back. We just had you on for B Rice's interview. I appreciate you coming on again, talking Dirty Rice.
Hear me good now?
It's a little better.
All right, hold on.
Maybe just speak up a little bit.
How about now?
Yep.
Still low?
I think. Are you in a food court?
I'm in a fucking hotel lobby.
Okay.
Surrounded by looks like a little league baseball team.
Okay.
Well, man, live from the lobby.
Hold on, I might gotta turn it down because now they're all fucking looking at me. All right.
Oh shit.
So how did Dirty Rice get started? How did that connection get going?
I know. So I didn't know a lot about like the underground hip hop shit, like that there was even a whole world of it until like I would see Rand like tweeting about different artists like Rock Marcy, West Side Gun. I mean, just whoever. Like, I just didn't know that this was like a real. It was like a real world of this shit. And then one day I hit Rand up and I was like, "Yo, I seen you tweeting about this dude Conway, and I got in contact with him, and he's gonna like get on the song with me. And I need to, it only makes sense if you send a beat. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna do a song with him, I only know who he is from being exposed to him through you. So then from there, that was like actually the first song I ever did with Ren. He sent the beat. I got Conway to jump on the track, and then we just started from there. But I didn't release that track you know, we didn't release it till Dirty Rice 2, but we had that track for like a couple years.
Yep. That was
What
the
was
first one we did.
what was the response? I'm assuming really strong for Dirty Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, to this day,
Yeah.
man, our
Yeah.
first single that we released with the video was Too Official, and like that's really a song that I perform almost at every show now. You know, like with some of my other songs that are in my repertoire, like I feel like that opened, um, you know, just exposed me to a whole different world of hip hop when I started working with Rand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was impactful for me as well. Like probably, I'd say as a producer, the most impactful record for me because it let me know like we had hit a new level, at least for me, and I think Noah will agree. Like we had the presentation, the sound, the features, the sequencing. Like we really had carved something. We knew it. We knew it. It felt like that at the time, at least for me. You know what I mean? We were creating a monster, and then for it to be received well, that was man. I can't. It was a good month or two where we were waking up every day, and it was in some type of new platform or something. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Good run.
Yeah, and then I know for me that was the first project that I had ever released where I like collab with another label. You know, so like
Yeah.
Gritty City, I'm you know charged at BNT, and Fan Ran is part of Gritty City, so that was like that was new. Just it was like a real collaborative process from not only the music but how we would release it. Like all of that was something new as well, where
Mm-hmm.
you know we both took on the responsibility and as far as like putting it out, you know.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, we went
Data.
we went through a lot of strategizing for that record, and it was good because I always tell Noah, man, he taught me so much on how to roll out a record. I didn't even really even know, I'm gonna be honest with you, 1,000%. I didn't even really know how to execute a rollout until I got with Noah. I knew what one was, but I didn't really know until he kind of showed me, and I was like, man, now there's no other way. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
No turning back. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's what me and Noah always talk about is moving forward. And me and Sig talk about it too is once you do something, you gotta do it at that level or bigger every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, you know, even like just watching Gritty City, like for real, there's a lot of people who like shout out their crews, even myself included, like seeing how Gritty City just was able to get uh just like how they handled their business with having so many artists like that were part of different, you know, cliques, crews, situations, or artists that said they had their own labels. I was just amazed at the fact, like, for real, like Gritty City was like the first, I think, true example that I had seen in Richmond and Virginia, where they're really like running a hip hop label like a you know, DIY, like a punk label, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where they're just releasing projects one after another. Like
Mm-hmm.
even to this day, like you know, most of the charged up releases have all been me. It's very hard to like get artists and creative people to like buy in or let's like trust, you know, especially in rap, to like let I say somebody else's company or label be the marquee stamp on it, and the fact that they've been able to do it like over and over and over, that's a big accomplishment because it's just a
Thank you, bro.
funny thing navigating this rap shit, you know.
Yeah.
Data Man Zen says, "What's up, Noah? Dr.
What's
Data."
up? What's up, Dr. Data? My guy.
Quick question:
Sir.
where did the Dirty Rice name come from? Like, where did that title come from?
Shit. Yo, so hold on. I got what the fuck did I just do? Can you still
Uh-oh.
see me?
Yep, you're back.
I don't
Yeah,
know
you're
what I
still
did.
there. You're still there.
I hit this chat thing and then everybody disappeared. Oh, all right. So at the time, like I think one of my boys had seen like my man Jody. Jody did like the pictures for the Dirty Rice covers, the actual photography, and like we used to get real just fucked up shit face and just laugh at, you know, being dickheads, just getting fucked up and laughing at random shit. And he I think one day we seen somebody had left. People would leave like racist shit on my video, right? Just like people are like, I don't know, there's a certain percentage of the internet who are just like fucking haters who just always got to say some shit they'll never say in real life.
Trolls.
Yeah, trolls, right? And then somebody's like, "Yo, fuck fuck this Asian dude, fucking, whatever. Just some real, real dickhead shit to say. And then my boy was like, when you can when you can like jump out ahead of whatever people would say on the internet and kind of own it, it kind of takes the sting out of it. So at the time, I remember like, you had Lil B is like bass god, Gucci Man was like trap god. And then he was like, he just is like, yo, you should just be a rice god, like you fucking ricer, and I was like, let's just own that shit. And then like at that time, Future had like Dirty Sprite series, so he was like, yo, you should, just drop the project called Dirty Rice. And then it's funny as shit because even to this day, people are like, people call me Rice God, like that's, and I think like what me and Rand have been able to do, it gave me another like world in my music. I have like the Analog Suspects world with Mentos, but then Rand's production is like, it's not as crisp. It's a lot dirtier. It's a lot grittier. It's a lot, it's a lot. It's just not. It's just a whole different chamber of sound. So like, with Dirty Rice or working with Rand, I could step into that world, even with the subject matter. It could be a little bit raw, not as polished. So.
Yeah. And it was cool too because like I was working at this spot called Food Dog. It was like my last restaurant job, and before I just jumped all the way into this shit. But so that's like it was an Asian fusion place. So like we used that as a lot. We actually shot 2 official in there, the bulk of the video in there, and we also used it for the covers. We used a version of the menu for the covers. So it was kind of cool to like my real life was bleeding over into working and making this project with Noah. And it just was a special time, man. I think about that time a lot just because whenever I want to get re-energized about a project, because you know how this shit is, man. You work on projects sometimes for years until they see the light of day for, a multitude of reasons. So whenever I'm feeling like the train's slowing down on something, I always think about that time and how motivating it was because me and Noah, we were talking all the time. We were bouncing ideas off each other. We really have like strengthened our friendship through that. Like, like my Gemini brother, like we got our own little fucking way of joking around about shit. Like same with me and Pro, you know what I mean? Just people that I really consider family. And I think about that time a lot just for that reason. It's like, man, I got to lock back in because I got to live up to what I got whatever I'm doing now. That's got to hold a candle because that's one of my special projects in my discography. It's a monument in my discography.
I don't want to glaze over Pyrex Dom, but if you want to mention anything about that, I thought that was.
I mean,
2019 as well.
I'll just say this. I'm proud of what Ross Skrilla doing. Like he started his own label, and just to see Gritty City be able to be like a home for him, that maybe helped him contribute to like the idea of starting his own label. He's killing. He just put out a joint with Pro Smooth Sounds, and Pyrex Dying to me was where it kind of all started as far as like starting to make full records with him. So that's what I'll say about that. It was definitely a landmark, and I love that record. He killed it so hard.
2020, we got Pro Party cassette.
Oh yeah, that's my little baby, man. That's my little baby. Well, quick one with Parole Party. That was on Icy Palms. Profound. It's a label out of Chicago. Profound's done a bunch of work with them. He actually worked with them before I did. Shout out Icy Palms, Pat, the homie. And he hit me up. Pat from Icy Palms is like, yo, you want to do it? You should do a beat tape, and I want to release it. I was like, cool. Had all these beats laying around. Some of Dirty Rice 2 beats is on there. And I just try to build a theme around those. And Brad D did the art, my boy, and just came up with a sweet little concept for that shit. And then the Star Nice joint. Bro, Star is a legend, man. I used to hear Chad talk about him. So that's one of those ones where it goes back to what we used to talk about with Wick. When I get, there's people I wish Wick would work with. Like I said, CJ the Prophet. Like I wish Wick would have been around to see somebody like that, that has that kind of energy. I could only imagine what him and Noah would have done. But like Star, Wick used to do records for Star, and for him to come seek me out to do his record, I just thought that was, that was Mr. Ashwell talking from the beyond, like go with my man and make some fire. So that's what we did.
I really like the Villa by Star Nice. I played that.
Oh
I think
yeah.
as part of the Airtight release party, and
Uh-huh.
I was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, man.
That's one of the ones I wanted to mention. Snake in a Rat Trap.
Yeah, that's the latest one. It's been a couple years since I've released taking care of my father and stuff, but that's the last full album I did. And what can I say, man? If you know Doof, he is his own force, man. You just basically surrender the beats and he's gonna take it from there. And he put together that whole record with his homie Lungs, who's dope too. He's getting a lot of burn out there now. And Lungs did the whole mix and master, but Doof, he's his own force, man. It's another one artist that's like lightning in a bottle. You just give up and then they take over. And it turned out. I love that record. It's super dirty, super Doof, man. He only makes records one way, his way, and I love that about him.
I like that cover,
Yeah.
and I like your photography on Johnny Sig's Star Nice Cigarettes and
Oh yeah.
I wanted to make sure we featured that too.
And that shit was fucking cold that morning, boy. That shit was February, maybe when we shot that a couple years ago. We took it to the back blocks of Gray Street, Hell Block. It's the alley behind Hell Block. And
that's where we met. That's where we met.
Oh yeah, man. So I mean that late '90s shit, like that everybody used to get drunk over there and end up in that 7-Eleven and all that. So we just took it. We wanted that vibe, and I shot it. It looked decent. I'm gonna say that for somebody that don't do photography, it came clean.
It looks really good. I definitely wanted to mention it. And you did the art for Life After Air as well, right?
Yeah. That, like I said, Pro produced that, and we're actually about to drop a new video for that, probably maybe this week or next week. I don't know, but that's ready to go. But still working that record. But yeah. Dog, same thing. Dog was like, yo, here's this image, and this image. I want it to be the part of the CDR to make it work. And I was like, I got you. So we did what we were supposed to on that. Pro killed it with the production as usual. And Dog, Dog is Dog, man. That's one of the realest to me. Like just when he speak, like on a record, the tone, the intention, the songwriting. He's very underrated when it comes to songwriting. He knows how to really write a song. He's not going to get in there and just rap 48 bars and then, he's going to get in there and really sequence. I think sometimes he doesn't even know how good of a songwriter he is. I'm like, yo, that's a bridge, bud. You just wrote a bridge. You know what I mean? Like he just does it naturally. He just does it naturally.
Profound. You got anything you want to mention about this release or anything else coming up?
Oh man, a ton of stuff, man. A ton of stuff going on. Yeah, this release is incredible. We just had the release party.
Yeah, at the garage.
Yeah. It's a dope record, man. If you haven't checked it out, it's super dope.
Big up to the garage.
Yeah.
Anything coming up that you can talk about, or nothing you can share at this point?
No, I got some stuff going on in July with me and my man Tasha Rowe, but not from Mike and Wiki. But other than that, nothing much.
Noah, quick for you. What do you kind of take away, or what has been your experience like collaborating, or just knowing Fan Ran? Like, what's sort of like your, I don't know. I've always saw him as a dope MC. I really feel like he can hold his own with a lot of the top MCs in our area, and there's some really good ones too. So I feel like he's very underrated.
I think Ran
there.
is like Ran is definitely I met Ran as a rapper first. He always been a dope rapper. You know what I mean? Like what is it? Is it Bob Evans? Bob Evans, Trainwreck. Those are probably my two favorite Fan Ran joints. Definitely Bob Evans and it's Trainwreck, right?
Yeah, Trainwreck. Yep.
Yeah, I got the Trainwreck hat, but yeah, hell yeah, Ran is a dope ass MC. But just it's just been a privilege, like getting to know him. And like I said, if it wasn't for Ran, I just look at it like like I told you in the other interview, like meeting Clef Dollars really changed the trajectory of my career, and then getting tight with Fan Ran, just like him you know, it goes back to like the conversation I was talking about Bryce. Like, there's people that just love music, love this rap shit, love hip hop, and they're not afraid to, you know, tell people about people they think that are dope. And I think that's important. Like, not just championing, you know, the same shit that everybody's like following trends. Like, he likes what he likes, and I'm glad, you know, there's people like him because of me, you know, getting to know Rand. It just really opened my mind. Like I said, opened my eyes up to a whole world of hip hop that I didn't know. I didn't know that there was this whole I'm gonna say underground now, because like cats that were underground aren't necessarily underground anymore. But yeah, paying attention to Rand, bro, it introduced me into a whole world of like just dope rappers and producers, and it was like another point in my career that kind of changed my trajectory. I wouldn't have known about a lot of people if it wasn't for Rand, but that's just along with the music we've been able to create together. You know what I mean?
I got one more question. I want to toss it out to everybody. What's the best pizza in Richmond? Who's got the best pizza?
I know what Rand's gonna say.
Frank's. No, Frank's got the crown for me. In Bon Air, that's the one.
What is it?
Frank's.
Frank's West.
Yeah, Frank's got the one. Yeah, Zorch used to have the crown, but Frank's is tough, man. That's a tough.
Hey, Zorch make you work too hard for it, man. They make you work too hard for
man.
that.
They on their hips
too much. It's too much.
They on their hips to time. They be open 11 to 3 on a Tuesday. You know what I mean?
It's like Base Camp 1 in Everest, man. It's like too much work, you know, to get to the spot. You know what I'm saying? You got limited hours and all this crazy jazz.
It's good as hell.
And then when you order in there, you get like boxed out. You're in a zone defense as soon as you order. Like you man to man as soon as you order. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. They make you work for it, but that's part of it. You know, hipsters love that. They love the chase and the hunt thing. That's an Instagram story for them.
I thought it was Belmont, and then I tried it after we talked. Just it had gone way downhill. I don't know what happened.
Oh, Belmont? Yeah. I ordered it the other day. I would say about a month ago, and it was a little too. They went crazy on the garlic, and that shit upset my stomach. So I was like, all right, I'm done with them.
Mine had too much oil. It was like new chefs, new owners. I don't know what happened.
You don't want all that spice. You know what I'm saying? You just wanted the plain cheese. You don't want all that spice on it.
Yeah, I think like going back and forth to New York more in the last few years, it's like what Pro said. Sometimes you just want the regular slice, man. Don't give me I don't care how you doctored it with 14 different new spices. I don't want that, man. Just give me a good slice. Just got some, what's the dude that does Barstool Sports? That does the pizza reviews. Yeah, he knows how to rate that shit, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that's just solid, man. Like that's why Frank's hit like that, man. Everything they do it the right, simplistic way, in a nice presentation. And
I like Benny's, bro. But a lot of my friends, when I tell them that, they're like, "Why do you like that?" I don't know. Benny's pieces.
That's the one.
I don't know, but I feel bad for saying it there because everybody's like, "Oh, you like that?"
Where is that? Where's Benny's at?
Benny's is on Main Street.
Okay.
But it's like they big ass slices.
Yeah,
like one of their slices is like equivalent to like it's $5 for a slice, but it's like
a baby. It's like a size of
a
regular
slices.
yeah. So you literally gotta hold it like that. Yeah.
You spend $2 and eat 2 slices. It's really like you ate 10 little Caesar slices, you know.
Because I never had it before, and I ordered a large. It was like $45, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I got it. I went to pick it up. I had to put it in the trunk.
Yeah, it's huge. You need an SUV. You need an SUV or a station wagon.
Yeah. That's a party pizza. That's the party pizza. Yeah.
DC's like that. All right, well, we're coming up on our hour. I appreciate it, fam. Ram, big ups to you. Shout out Noah O and Profound 79 for coming through.
Y'all, man.
This ought to be good.
Love y'all boys, man. Family. Right. Salute.
Peace.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.